Hi, I'm Nigel Marsh, and this is the 5 of My Life podcast, the show where 5 choices reveal sideways insights into the lives, opinions, and lessons of interesting people. Lauren, welcome to 5 of My Life.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Excited and a little bit nervous, I gather.
Very nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm very, very, very nervous. It's probably the most formal and, I don't know, you're pretty famous thing I've ever done. So just a humble person in the great ocean.
Well, that's exactly who we want to talk to. And could you please do us a favour and explain to all the people listening who you are, your full name, and what your title and role is, and how long you've been in the profession?
My name is Lauren DeFazio. I'm 39. I'm a mother of 3. I'm a nurse and have been a nurse for 20 years, probably a bit more than that, actually. Have done a little bit of everything, bit of emergency nursing, country nursing, and now I work in intensive care, which is just another aspect of nursing, and it's phenomenal. Just a great environment to be in. Very supported environment.
I've just interviewed Dr. Stephen Rashford, the medical director of the Queensland Ambulance Service.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So he spends his life, dealing with death and trauma, and that's.
Yes, it can be quite heavy. Yes.
He's been doing it for 18 years. Gosh, it's
wow.
A certain view on life. And where are you based?
In Adelaide.
Name the workplace.
Oh, I'm in the Royal Adelaide Hospital in the city. So I commute,
That's what I was trying to get from you.
Right, I commute from Adelaide Hills and Bridgewater up to the city, it's great. Adelaide's great. We don't have terrible traffic, so you can do 2 vastly different environments all in the same day.
I love it. And how did you find the process of choosing?
Daunting, and as you know, I completely thought it. Yes, so trying to bring it back to simply what it was about, and it was a great eye-opening tool for conversations with other people that I knew, and my mum and my work colleagues. It was really sweet to hear some of the outcomes of what they thought, and I had to say to them, it's not your favourite. But it made it very interesting and discovered, some great things about some great people.
I love it when the choosing process works like that, which is how I've designed it, where people go, God, it was fantastic. I spoke to my grandchildren and they said, you can't choose that, Granny, or whatever. Oh, good on you. Fantastic. And did you listen to any of the other episodes?
I did. I listened to John Owen, who was phenomenal. That was the last link you sent me. And I just thought, wow, he was an extraordinary person, very brave for living his dream and living his purpose, which was just incredible, absolutely incredible. And Stephanie Dowich, I've written her name down. She's a beautiful voice. My gosh, she was like listening to silk. And Bruce Coulthart, which broke my heart when he talked about boarding school and talking about you and boarding school. And I thought about my 8-year-old and, oh my gosh, I couldn't.
Can you imagine sending your 8-year-old to school 3 years ago? 3 years ago.
I don't even think he could pull up his own pants 3 years ago. So he'd be a mess. But my little heart bled a little bit for you guys.
And what have you called your kiddies? What are the 3 names?
So I've got Samuel, who's my sensitive little soul, and I've got Penny, who's 6. So Sam's 8, Penny's 6. She's a little firecracker, a little redhead. And Maggie is just like her brother Sam. She's 3 and she's just a little cheeky monkey.
So you are in the trenches with an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old.
I'm in the trenches. Yeah. So when you said it's a reflective sort of, about your life, I'm like, I'm not in reflective zone. I'm in the thick of it. I'm deep in chaos, but I love it.
There's something I put in I think it was my second book, where I say the days are long, but the years are short.
Yes. And you look back and you're like, where did that go? But that's right. Every day can be very grueling and challenging, but otherwise it's good fun.
So Kate and I, we're now empty nesters.
Oh no! So your twin girls are all grown up?
Yeah. So it's what we got twin girls and 2 sons.
And 2 sons. Wow. And what birth order is that?
So we got elder son 29, next son 26. And then 2 identical, and I mean identical, 23-year-old daughters. Yeah.
23. So they've left at 23. That's pretty cool.
Oh no, they left earlier. We are
How did you do that?
Victorian dad. So
Off you go. Off you go.
well, so my attitude. I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but if I can keep them out of jail,
Yes.
and off drugs,
Yes.
and not pregnant until 18,
That's a win.
and hopefully with some good values and good manners, then you go, I love you more than life itself, and you'll always have a roof here, not a room and not a bed, a roof. You can sleep on our kitchen floor or whatever else, and you'll always have my unconditional love.
Yes.
But which bit of move out?
Oh my
Don't you
gosh.
understand?
Oh gosh. My mum would have had me forever. Absolutely. She was distraught when I moved out. So I moved back and then I moved back out again. Did that a few times. My crazy days. But yeah.
So we should get into I could talk to you forever. This is fantastic. Were you worrying that you weren't interesting enough? Oh my God, you're the most
Someone told me to take a bit of Dutch courage, which I thought about, but I thought, no, I'll waffle on and no one wants that.
Have you hit the sherry, have you?
No, gosh, no. You never shut me up.
So we start with a film on Five of My Life.
Lovely.
And we're going to the 80s.
Yep.
And you've chosen Bush, Fire, Moon. Tell us about that.
Well, it's my dad's favourite Christmas movie. And he's stick with it, guys, stick with it. And we're like, well, Dad, it's really old. And then I think I only really appreciated it when I was older, and just the rawness of that little boy, and all he wanted was to keep this dingo puppy, which was a nuisance to the farm. And I just, young love and the adversity that the parents were going through. Like, it was just, it's so cute. I love it. It's so cute. And then right at the end, I think it's right at the end, when he puts the coin in oh no, it's not right at the end. Puts the coin in the little money box and it plays a tune. And like, kids nowadays would not find that fascinating one little bit. But how simple and how much joy did that bring? It's not that it was real life, but I just thought it's a beautiful movie. And I know it's not about the movie, but we watched it as a family, which brings me, to talk about my family and my dad, and my childhood, really, which is this movie really sort of reminds me of that time.
So, well, tell us about your dad.
Well, with Dad's a very humble man. He, bless his heart, grew up with 4 girls in the home and then Mum. So it was a bit chaotic and moody and dangerous at times to be Dad. But he is a very humble man. So I've got 3 sisters. One's 10 years older, one's 2 years older, and then my twin sister. And Dad, I think, just took us out. He took us out camping. Mum's not a camper, so he took us away camping a lot, which was his thing and his jam. And I've very much carried that on. So I take my kids camping. I leave my husband at home a lot of the time when we go camping. But yeah, Dad's a very inspiring man, and everyone that meets Dad is, he's such a beautiful man. But he really is. He worked very hard for Telstra for a very long time, and then English is his second language. So he studied a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology for more than 10 years, which we thought was like ghastly boring as we were growing up. Dad's, oh my God, watching his brain tapes again about psychology and the VHS. And then he wanted to be a social worker. So he studied social worker. He was a photographer and volunteered for Lifeline, so forever. And now he's in St. Vincent de Paul and, is a member of our local church. And he's in a bush band, which is random, very random. But yeah, you meet Dad and he's very quiet and very humble, and then he gets up on stage and he comes alive with his guitar and his harmonica, and which he could do at the same time, which I found mind-boggling when I saw him do it for the first time. He's a good man.
Well, what's his first language? You say English is his second language. What's his first language?
He's Italian, so I'm a DeFazio, however you want to say it. And yes, his parents are Italian, and then so he grew up in a very Italian home and learned English through his schooling, and talked about how difficult that was, obviously, when he was young, but managed and really showed his true grit, I think, which was inspiring.
And do you go? Has he got family back in Italy, and you go back or not?
Yes, which is comes to my place. I don't know if you have pre-looked. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, we won't leap ahead. Okay. Oh, although I think your place is Torres Strait.
No, did I write
You
that?
did?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, that's okay. I'll leap across. So Dad's parents are from Castagna in Italy. So in the sort of where you would take a pedal pulse on a foot.
Yes.
On the Italy map. So kind of on the top of the foot. And Nonna is from Ascoli, which is a beautiful old town in Italy. And when I was traveling, Mum and Dad came over and met us, and we met all of Dad's side of the family, which was absolutely phenomenal. So Dad had never been back, and he was in his 50s, and we went back and we went to this beautiful little town where his dad was from, and we looked on the wall. It's like the local deli, you know, our equivalent, which is probably different to yours because South Australian delis and Victoria delis and New South Wales delis are all different. Anyway, the little local hangout. And there's a picture of my nonno on the wall playing the trumpet. And Dad just looked at it and was like, that's my dad. And he's, you know, there's no history in Adelaide of his family. And he's just seen this picture of his dad. And it was just beautiful. And meeting my nonna's sister, who he'd never met. And it was like my nonna was alive again. So she looked exactly like my nonna, which was beautiful. Yeah, it was really sweet. And it was, to know that there's all that history. And I think the sense of belonging for Dad was quite strong at that point, which was really cute.
And where did he meet Mum?
So my parents met talking over the phone. So darling Mum's a hardworking nurse, and she did district nursing forever. But when she was training, she worked at the Women's and Children's, and they'd be on the phone to this woman, Mary, her name was, who's friends with Dad, and Mary'd have to go off and do her rounds, and she'd go, here, can you hold the phone, Robin? So Mum's name's Robin. And Dad would be on the other end. Hi, Dan. And they got talking, and that was it. They fell in love, and the rest is history.
And your mum's in the profession as well?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be a nurse since forever. There's still so many things I'd love to do, but always wanted to be a nurse, which was never a question for me. But going through high school and watching people struggle with what profession they were going to choose I thought, oh man, that must be so difficult and challenging, and you know, you have to choose something just because it might interest you in the future. And I felt very fortunate to know that I would never have that question mark.
Oh, I'm jealous because I'm 61 and I still don't know what I want to do. There's
so many things to do. I want to make jewelry and learn the Baron drum, and I don't know, learn how to hair. I want to be a hairdresser. I've always wanted to be a hairdresser. There's so many things. Maybe one day.
We're going to come to your second choice, and you've chosen. We're moving forward 13 years to 2000. Mark Rashid as Horses Never Lie. Tell us about that book.
Did you enjoy it?
Well, I have to be. It's not really my thing. So, but this is not about me; it's about you. So, could you describe the book?
Well,
and tell us why it resonated.
It's a beautiful book, and it's very basic. Not hard to read, which I can, pick up and put down because it's been a long time since I've managed to sit down. And a lot of it, so I read it when I was traveling, and there was a fair bit of horsey stuff in my travels, but coming back to just the simplicity and the patience of it.
Describe for us the central thesis of the book, just for people who
a lot of it's about horse training and the perceptions of the horse and the perceptions of the trainer and how that can get lost in translation, I should say. So it's a lot of it is about awareness of horse training and natural horsemanship, which is lovely and something that I have an interest in, but not the way that I was learnt how to ride or train horses. So I learnt from this crazy German lady who was just bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Bless her heart, she's no longer with us because she came off a horse that she trained and ended up a quadriplegic and
oh dear.
Has since passed away. But we used to have kids on that horse and take trail rides, and it was just like looking back, I think how many times I came off that horse. Oh, that could have been me. It could have been anyone. So the change of horse training knowledge out there is great. It's no longer cowboys. It's no longer roping. It's beautiful. But what it has taught me, and a lot of it when as a parent as well, has taught me that there is a difference between the patience of crazy mum and yelling versus that patient sit with it and learn what the best way forward is.
So it talks about passive leadership, which I quite like, and contrasts it to sort of alpha male command and control. I found that bit. I mean, I did enjoy the book, but as a horse owning, horse riding person, it was sort of not my. It's not my wheelhouse. But how many horses have you got?
I've got 2 and a bit. So I've got a beautiful riding pony cross, Paddy, who's got kissing spine, which I can't ride him anymore, but he's a beautiful little thing, which I was given, and a rescue horse. We named him Buddy, who was left out in the paddock, and the man had to sell the land. And so him and his girl, we rescued them from a paddock down the Peninsula Way, and we'll see. He's not broken to saddle yet, so we'll see. And then there's a little tiny cob thing that stands about, up to your knees, and he's Monty, so he's going to live out his best life with me and my friend. So I owned a little bit of him. He's beautiful.
And do you ride every day?
No. So I haven't ridden properly for some time, but my passion to get back into it will always be there. I tried to give it up through having kids, but it is that little itch that screams, remember who you are kind of thing at the back when you are knee deep in parenting and motherhood and making lunches and housework and being a wife and all the things that you go, remember us back here? Remember this sense of self? Come back to it. And I remember after having one of my kids, and I sat in the saddle, and you just go, I belong here. It's a thing that you either get it or you don't, but it's a beautiful relationship to have with a horse.
And is your husband horsey, if I can use the word? Is horsey a word? Is your husband
Absolutely
into horses?
Not.
No, he's not.
Horsey is a word. Absolutely not. No.
So how does that work? I suppose that could be quite convenient, I suppose. I mean, so he doesn't muck out or whatever?
No, God, no. We don't even have property, so I have to gist them, which is awful. But my husband is a glider pilot, which is, I don't know if you know anything about gliding. It's planes without engines. All the fancy ones do.
Which sounds terrifying.
It isn't. It really isn't, because they glide. They don't fall out of the sky like big aeroplanes do. And it's something that his dad did, and he did growing up. So he's trying to live his childhood, obviously, through our kids. So we go on a gliding 2-week expedition every year with the competition that he's invented with his best mate. Again, living their childhood dreams. You have to give it a go, Nigel. It's beautiful. Once you're up there, it's so peaceful, and there's beautiful stories of flying wingtip with eagles and the formation, and they do aerobatics, and it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful, not my thing, obviously. I'd rather be on horseback, but yeah, he loves it.
I always get confused about how do you get back? If you haven't got an engine and the wind's in a certain direction, don't you end up?
So Yes, there is that is problematic, right? So you fly over terrain that always has a paddock to land in. I know too much about this. You will fly on a day where there are always thermals, and if there are no thermals, then you come home very, very quickly. And they do areas that have lots of thermals and lots of lifts, so ridge lines and things. They can go cross country for hours and hours and hours. A lot of gliders now do have engines though, so if they want to, go a little bit further, they just pop the engine out and switch it on. But Nick's competition is like new fun in old plastic, I think it's called. So they've only got old school gliders.
And he's called Nick?
Nick, yes. Nick Gilbert, yep.
How did you meet Nick?
We were housemates, actually. We were housemates and became friends. You find yourself coming home from work and wanting to hang out with your housemate, which is weird. Then you start talking about your housemate, and then your friend goes, I think you like your housemate. And I'm like, what? And then, it went from there. So broke up a few times, lived in Melbourne for a bit, and then came back to Adelaide, got back together. Oh, no, yes. And then I went overseas for a year, broke up, went overseas, broke his heart, and then we got back together. But it was great. It was good learning for him and me and all of that.
So the great thing about if you end up with someone who you have previously lived with as a housemate is at least you know some of the quirks, the upsides and downsides.
This is true. I think we bonded over coffee, actually, and instant coffee with Coffee White or something horrendous we were drinking back then.
Well, so your third choice on Five My Life, it's always the song, and we're going to 2009.
Yes.
It's from the Florence and the Machine's debut album, Lungs. It's The Dog Days Are Over.
The dog days are over. The dog days are done. The horses are coming, so you better run. Run fast for your mother, run fast for your father. Run for your children, for your sisters and brothers. Leave all your love and your longing behind. You can't carry it with you if you want to survive. The dog days are over.
Tell us about that.
I chose it. It's a beautiful song. I find Florence is just an inspirational artist that, I saw her at WOMAD, I think 2 years ago, and I don't even know if she was wearing makeup, just this beautiful, floaty, earthy, just gorgeous, great entertainer. And you asked my kids, what's my favourite song? Dog Days. And it was a really uplifting song. And again, it was bringing it back to my sense of self through having kids and surrounding myself unintentionally with strong women through having all of my kids. I just found myself collecting all of these beautiful, inspiring women that raised beautiful humans. And I think I don't know. I don't even know if I meant to do it, but I picked their brains, how did you raise such beautiful humans and what did you do and what didn't you do? And I've got my horsey mum that, through my kids, she looked after my horses and helped me bury my horse when, tragedy goes, all goes wrong. And obviously through all this, my mum has been amazing support and inspiration because she was just phenomenally hardworking through being a mum and still is. You should see her as a grandma. She's mad. She's absolutely mad. Her happiness lies in how happy her grandchildren are at the moment. So my 3-year-old's, there's no pressure, but she does love her Grammy more than her mum sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's just a really uplifting song. We do have Friday night discos at my house, which I have quite a few young people, well, a lot of friends that have young girls. So they come over and we put the disco light on and we have, disco nights and just jump around and be crazy. One of my friends is a good Irish dancer, so she usually puts on a show. It's a bit crazy. Bit crazy. It's good fun though. We did that as kids, just danced around and really let it out. You can scream at the top of your lungs and let it out. So yeah, teaching them to just go for it.
Now the song, I mean, there's numerous interpretations on it, but sort of confronting one's past and moving on. Are you good at letting things go and moving on, or are you?
No, I'm not. I'm terrible, but I've never been one to hold a grudge because my memory's really bad. So
you would hold grudges if you could remember.
If I could. Yeah, and I've tried a lot. Like growing up, my sisters, I look at my sister and be like, I'm mad at you, but I don't know why. Okay, let's move on. And then I'll be, I'm queen passive aggressive with my darling husband. Why am I mad? Never mind. Okay, let's just move on. So no, I'm terrible at that.
Well, listen, that your faulty memory is a great link to your fourth choice because you think you've said Italy, but actually you said Torres Strait.
Oh yes, I can't believe I did that. That's really funny. So I think maybe that was more about my nursing career that I wanted to divulge into, and now I've waffled on about Dad and his family, which frees me up to talk about my nursing.
Well, you're going to have to talk about Torres Strait because that's what I've been researching. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's good because the Torres Strait is... so I'd studied through Charles Darwin University online because it was available, and I was given the opportunity to do a placement in the Torres Strait as a part of my nursing and went up there and it was something else. Like it was just... absolutely beautiful. I've never seen anything like it, and I've been to some places, but I've never seen anything like this. Just you walk anywhere, you look anywhere, and it's beautiful. The people were just, you had to get permission to go on the island. There was this nurse practitioner. Her name was Doon. she, got us the permission through the university to go out and live in the health centre and worked with beautiful healthcare workers. We do home visits and retrievals. Heard some amazing stories through some of the other students about Darwin and the crazy stuff that goes on there. But it brings me to different areas of my nursing. And, I did a little stint in Queensland in a country town called Theodore. One of my graduate positions was in Melbourne when I was living in Melbourne, in a healthcare, in a doctor's practice. Now the work that nurses in doctor's practices is incredible. They do a huge array of, they have amazing skills, but the money is terrible. So that wasn't sustainable. I had a horse to feed, so so I went and worked in emergency in Melbourne for a bit, and then moved away from there and came back and worked in country nursing, which I adored, absolutely adored. There's no team environment like country nursing. It's beautiful. So out in the beautiful Barossa Valley, in the little country town, Mount Pleasant, which was quite pleasant. And just met some beautiful people that I'm still quite close to today. And then and it was interesting. The drive out there was quite a windy, dangerous road. And some of my colleagues had lost family members on that road. And it was only until I was pregnant and had Sam, I thought, I can't keep doing this, because I was driving from night shift or to a late shift and the kangaroos were, out, and I had to give it up. It would stress me out too much to continue. So I left there. And
but I love hearing throughout this project stories of people talking about their love for nursing and midwifery and the careers and the variety that they've had. Because my youngest twin daughter is a nurse. And obviously she
beautiful.
Yeah, she's starting out. And you go, well, I'm meeting all these wonderful people like yourself, and they're just there's an ocean of opportunity. There's so much variety.
There is such diversity. Oh my gosh. And if you don't like patient care, you can do other stuff. If you like management, you can do that. If you like the heart, you can just do the heart. It's beautiful. It's great. I'm really passionate about end of life. I love that space and just helping, I suppose, generally in that area. We do quite a bit in the ICU because of the nature of where it is, but also there's this beautiful program that was developed called the PARTY program, and it's the prevention of alcohol risk-related trauma in youth, which is an amazing program that they get high school kids to come in. And look, we try not to traumatize them. We do our best. That they will do a walk through the ED. They'll do a scenario of someone, a young person come in, was drunk, had a motor vehicle accident, and then has presented to emergency. And this is what happens. This is the story and what happens. So it's really eye opening. And if we can make a difference, to 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, or empower them to speak up and say, guys, let's get a cab, or let's ring someone's mum, or, your mum's going to be annoyed that you ring them at 3 a.m., but she's going to be more annoyed upset if she gets a phone call from the cops, at 4 a.m. So just basics of prevention is, it's a beautiful program. And some of them walk out crying, which, you've hit home. Obviously, you don't really want to traumatize them. And then we try and say, come and do some nursing. It's great. It's a beautiful environment. We're like, so we've got to backpedal a bit. This isn't what we see every day, but, we do see it. But, it really hits home the realities of life sometimes. But we do have amazing incredible nurses doing incredible things at the Royal Adelaide. Oh
no, do go on. I love it when people say nice things about other people behind their backs.
Well, our we've got some beautiful team leaders, and one of our university preceptors, Laura Corchi, she just helps out the students and makes it real, makes it fun, makes them laugh, and just keeps it it's not all doom and gloom. We do great stuff here. There's another girl called Sophie. She did the Mercy ships, and she's, single-handedly running ECMO courses, which are just incredible, and hardworking nurse. She's amazing. Every time I see her, I'm a little bit in awe.
Well, I'm going to have to send this episode to them so they can hear you saying nice things about them.
Oh, don't. Oh, my gosh.
There's going to be a change of pace because we're coming to your possession.
Yes.
And I'll probably pronounce this wrong, but you've chosen your Ariat boots. Is that right?
No, yep. Ariat boots. Absolutely. Yeah.
Could you describe them first and then tell us why you chose them?
I should have got them out for you. My Ariat boots have served me greatly. They were bought to me by Nick, actually, before I went travelling and left him with his heart in smithereens. But they really symbolise my time that I had away with my best friend. It was 2010, 11 into 2012. And we travelled crazy days. Not that you'd ever do this anymore. But we met in the UK. So she was already over there. I met her over in the UK, and we embarked on this year's travel around, we thought the world, where we met up in Paddington with my boots on because they were too fat to pack. And I worked as a carer, an in-home carer, with a beautiful lady. Her name is Nikki, and she was a cerebral palsy lady who so I lived with her and her dog, Al, and got to walk him every day, which is my love for Border Collies started. I worked with her for 3 months, and then we embarked on our tour across Europe. We met her mum met us, in London. We went to Dublin and sort of went around Ireland where she was from, Paris, Rome, Florence. Then my parents came. We went to Cinque Terre, and then across to Italy, where we met family and just, knee deep, where my Italian was not good before, but, it flourishes when you're in the thick of it. And my twin sister came over as well, which was fantastic, absolutely gorgeous. Amsterdam was an eye-opener, especially for a ghastly prude like myself. I just wasn't expecting a lot of that. Berlin, Vienna. We went and saw the Spanish horses. We did the Sound of Music tour, which was very pivotal in my life. The Sound of Music. Someone else chose Sound of Music in your podcast, which was gorgeous. But when we went there, when we went to the Rotunda, the I am 16 going on 17.
Yes.
And it was shut because some old lady had jumped from bench to bench and broke her hip. So they closed it. We were absolutely devastated. So there was a whole bus of people that we were absolutely devastated. We couldn't go in there. We went to Portugal. We worked on a farm for a little hobby farm that had horses for a couple of weeks and shot rifles and chopped wood. And then we went to India, where we had a beautiful time staying with a beautiful Sikh family, and their hospitality was phenomenal. They took the time off, went around the Golden Triangle, and just took us under their wing. And now they're all grown up.
How long were you away from?
We were just over a year.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So India was amazing. And then we went to Rishikesh, where, the Beatles found themselves, which is hilarious because it was just lots of yoga. But then we went to Nepal, and Nepal was something else. We really got struck lucky in Nepal. We met again, you would never do this. We met a water engineer and a gorgeous man called Ramesh, who was trying to bring communities sort of to the new age and learn about hygiene, water sanitation. We did a talk on menstrual hygiene, which was not even a thing. It was all very taboo, very shunned, very, you were locked indoors when all that was happening. So we did a lot of talking out loud about that. And, the women would come and with candlelight, and they'd sit there and, they'd ask us questions, and we'd do our best to use the basic of English. So who could understand us. And then obviously the darling translator, who I have to say these words, bless. It was really eye-opening. And we made $2 toilets, which was great fun. So I'm digging my $2 toilet and had some Hessian sacks as the screen, and my beautiful friend, Laura, she's a marketing business minded woman. She had these men lined up and one was doing the screen made out of bamboo. And then just had everyone had a job, and I was there with the kids running around going, "Oh, where's the toilet? Where's the toilet?" And I had all these gorgeous little Nepalese kids running behind me. We'd been cello, which is I think it's like hello or something. I'd be like, "Oh, I need to go to the toilet. Where's the toilet?" And then they'd chase me to the toilet. It was so just real heart filling. Gorgeous stuff that I could never even, you just never replicate it. And we'd go out. The only way we could get to these communities was on the back of a motorbike. So we're there with our bloody backpacks. I'm sure insurance would cover us, right, if something went wrong. And then we'd get on the back of the back. And some of these people hadn't seen white people before. They looked at us like, oh my gosh. And then I ate some goat, Nigel, and that's where it all just got a bit ugly. I got very sick, and my darling friend Laura had to sort of feed me water and Panadol until I came back to life, and then we hot scooted it out there. But it was a beautiful time, and yeah, probably never to be repeated, but great memories. And we ended up going back there actually, which was great, and got to take some other people.
But life goes in chapters.
So she was the brains of the operation.
Laura was, right.
It does. Yes. Yeah, I was like, where are we going now? And she's younger than me, bless her heart. But yeah, she was definitely the brains of the operation. But yeah, it does go in chapters, and a lot of people, they so career focused. I suppose because I'm not money driven, it wasn't, I love my career and I knew it was always there because that's the profession of nursing. It's always there. And that's all they've done. So these young people, that's all they've done, or they've bought their house and that's it. And then they think, what next? And it's like, you've got to go and do your crazy stuff. So I did some crazy stuff.
So there is a sixth choice on 5 of My Life. Who would you like to hear on the show next, and why?
I had a lot of people come through my mind, like my parents, my husband. I thought that would be interesting to see what he had to say. Some colleagues at work, but I do have a darling friend named Michelle Borden, who is an art therapist. She is a modern day witch, I'm going to say, who I think would find this a beautiful embarkment and adventure for her to experience. And she's a very interesting lady, very easy to talk to.
Well, listen, I mean, does she know about the show?
No. God, don't tell her. Don't tell her I was on it.
We'll send her the link to the Apple episodes.
Yes.
And then you never know. Stranger things have happened. Maybe I'll get her on.
Yeah, she'd love it. She would love it. And she's got beautiful stories to tell. A very humble lady and has a lot to, she's another one that's living her purpose. So she helps a lot of people, I think, just with being a friend, and also she runs Sister Circles, which is a female empowering, beautiful movement going on. So
it's been just lovely talking to you, and I hope it hasn't been too terrifying an experience. And I have to ask you one further question, which is, what would you say to someone who said to you, "I'm considering the nursing profession"?
I think a while ago I would have said, don't do it, because it was kind of difficult because there was so many changes in leadership and what the government was doing, and contracts and short-term contracts and not extending people. And it was and then nursing through COVID was something else. That was grueling, and hoping that we never have to do that again. But I would never discourage, because there are so many areas of nursing. A friend of mine's she did paramedic, and now she went back and did nursing. And again, so many aspects. So go for it, and making someone smile once a day, or you might sob at the end of your shift, but that that you've done a good thing does fill your heart with love, and making your heart pink, as my kids would say. You make my heart pink. So that's it. It really does bring you a sense of purpose, and being able to make a difference to people's lives. So go for it. It's good fun. We're all a bit quirky, us nurses.
Well, listen, what a wonderful note to end on. Thank you for...
Thank you very much.
It's just been lovely chatting to you, and thank you for your work.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for all your messages with guest suggestions and feedback on the episodes. The Five of My Life audience really is a lovely, engaged community. Please do keep the messages coming in. The best way is through my website. And if you have a friend who you feel might enjoy a particular guest, please do forward the episode on. I do the show on my own, so without a marketing budget, word of mouth really is the only way of people discovering the show.